Veronica and Embla are finally in the game, and they are here to put a close to our current metagame. In this video, I'll be doing an in-depth analysis of both Veronica and Embla, as well as going over the banner, and of course answering the most important question: should you pull? Remember when I said the meta would completely shift when Flare, a mage damage reduction piercing special, got added, or that Brave Lysithea could become one of the best nukes in the entire game? Well, Intelligent Systems heard me, and Legendary Veronica is just that. Let's start off with going over Veronica's weapon and Closing Dark. And Closing Dark has 6 main effects, with one of them having varying power depending on the condition. First, she has special cooldown built into her weapon, which is very important considering her PRF special. Second, she gets plus 6 attack and speed if she initiates combat or is solo. Third, she gets offensive null follow-up if she initiates combat or is solo. Fourth, if she initiates combat, she can make a follow-up attack before the foe can counterattack, similar to Lewin or Brave Lysithea or a lot of other heroes now. Fifth, her next 2 effects will depend on how many enemies are within 2 spaces of her target. If it's 1, she inflicts -4 speed and resistance. If it's 2 or more, she inflicts -8 speed and resistance, and the foe cannot counterattack. Now this is really good, but to truly understand why this is devastating and can possibly break the meta, we need to look at her PRF special, Enclosure. Enclosure is a 2 cooldown special, 1 if you consider the cooldown reduction built into her weapon. It has a passive effect that neutralizes guard effects, so anti-guard or half tempo. And when it activates, it boosts damage by 25% of Veronica's attack and ignores non-special damage reduction, so like your close calls, dragon walls, etc. It will not ignore damage reduction from Hardy Fighter or Godlike Reflexes, but here's the big thing: it can shred through deflect magic. And that is a massive thing to consider. The reason why heroes like Duo Corrin or Winter Lysithea have fallen off in the meta is because they were so strong that the meta had to shift towards the deflect magic seal to survive. But Veronica can counter that. So essentially we have a weapon that can let Veronica safely attack the opponent twice as long as she outspeeds them, which shouldn't be difficult because her weapon gives up to plus 14 attack and speed effectively. She has offensive null follow-up, so there's no way to deny her double. If 2 enemies are within 2 spaces of her target, the foe cannot even counterattack, which means even if Veronica can't kill, she can safely engage, and it also means she can be used against Vantage if the conditions are met, which can be a really big thing in something like Summoner Duels. Then we have her special, which is only 2 cooldown, but because she has Slaying and Anti-Guard, there is no way to stop it from proccing, and it ignores damage reduction, which means she's going to be able to get full damage on that second hit. This is really important because the current meta is full of Hardy Fighter save armors, and Veronica is going to be able to pop their defensive special on her first hit, and then unleash a devastating special on the second, most likely killing them. The funny thing is that the meta is actually moving away from blue saves like Brave Hector and Ascended Thune, so she'll most likely have a better matchups too. Legendary Veronica is going to be a meta unit, absolutely 100%. I expect to see her in Aether Raid's defense during win season, and I expect to see her a lot in Summoner Duels. We don't know her stat line yet, but based off the story, it is very offensive oriented, which is exactly what you would want. Now the last thing to talk about is the introduction of Panic Smoke 4, which after combat inflicts -$3 stats and panic on target and foes within 2 spaces. But it also grants the unit and allies within cardinal directions foe penalty doubler, which is essentially the pledging effect that doubles debuffs. This is going to be a very powerful option for heroes who rely on debuffs. It will also be good on other heroes too, but for heroes like Gunthra, Rid, Saizo, Female Corrin, or even Spring Delthea, who can provide more powerful debuffs themselves, they will really be able to go off that pledging buff they will receive after one combat. Now honestly, I'm not going to recommend killing Veronica for it at all, but it is an option. Next, let's move on to the other star of the banner, our new Dark Mythic, Embla. Now while Veronica is a soft counter to the current meta, Embla is a hard counter. She is here to destroy our current savior meta, and the best part is, she's a badass beast unit. So let's start off with Embla's weapon, Enclosing Claw. This weapon has 7 main effects. First, it has special cooldown reduction, which is standard, but damn good. Then we have plus $5 stats if Embla is at 25% HP or above, pretty standard. Third, we have an effect where she can inflict up to -9 attack, speed, and defense on foes, depending on how many foes are within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on her. Fourth, we have an anti-guard effect, so she is going to be able to get off specials, which is really big. Fifth and sixth, we have 2 effects based off how many foes are within 3 rows or 3 columns yet again. If there are 2 or more foes, then she will get defensive null follow-up and inflict guard on the foe. And then lastly, of course, she has the Flying Beast transformation that offers that extra movement. Now this weapon is pretty interesting. It gives Embla a ton of stats, effectively up to plus 14 to all stats. It ensures she can get her specials off while also slowing down foe specials with guard, and it can even turn off the foe's guaranteed follow-up attacks, which is big. It's a very solid weapon, not groundbreaking, but very good. The thing is, the rest of Embla's kit really fixes any problems she may have had. So let's look at her preference C skill, Severance. Severance has two main effects. First, at start of turn, Embla inflicts Undefended and Feud 2 new debuffs on foes within 3 rows or 3 columns. Undefended turns off the ability to be protected by savior skills. You heard me right, it turns off saves. The most meta and powerful effect in the entire game. The effect that has completely dominated the entire meta since its release. Embla just says nope, none of that. If that wasn't enough though, she also inflicts Feud, which is essentially just a debuff version of our current Feud skills, but it isn't color specific. So this will shut off all the flames or whatever else outside support the hero is getting. But we aren't even done yet. The second effect checks if there's an enemy within 3 rows or 3 columns. If there is, Embla neutralizes all of her penalties and grants herself dodge, which is speed-based damage reduction. This preference skill is just batshit insane good. Right now, I'm showing a picture of the range, just pretend Arvel is Embla. This range is very solid. It's not ridiculously big, but it's more than big enough to do its job. Now let's discuss the new inheritable beast skill, Beast Agility 3. This skill removes the beast transformation requirement and offers offensive no follow-up as long as you outspeed your opponent in both phases. This is essentially a beast flow skill that works on both phases. I am so happy that we are finally gotten a beast exclusive skill. I'll discuss some more good options for it later on, but I want to continue talking about Embla some more. So Embla is going to be one of the biggest meta heroes we have had in a while. She can shut down the effect that the entire meta revolves around while being a great combat unit herself. She's going to be extremely fast and is going to be able to reliably proc specials. She can also get easy access to damage reduction, which isn't typical for beast units. She essentially has full no follow-up and you can't even turn off her transformation, so she will always have 3 movement. I expect to see Embla in every single dark defense, and she is going to show up in Summoner Duels 10,000%. Now, first let's discuss Dark Season a bit. Dark Season doesn't have Element, so there is no false start to shut Embla down, which also means catcher balls are free to run rampant. We also have Medius who can shut down bolt towers. This means that Embla can make a very scary defense, as the defense will be near untankable due to her turning off saves, which can be played around a bit, but not very easily. And because Embla is a defense mythic, she won't be showing up on offense, which means your defense can use saves if you want, which means you can put a near saver with guard on them and make gale forcing much more difficult. Honestly, Dark Season was already annoying, but now I expect it to be hell on earth. When it comes to Summoner Duels, the meta revolves around far saves 100%. The only time it doesn't is during isolation seasons. Embla is going to have a big influence. Now how much she affects the meta will come down to maps, because she does need to be able to get enemies within that 3 columns or 3 rows. But honestly, that's not the most difficult thing. The major thing you will need to consider is Duo Thor, as she can inflict stall on Embla because she will always have that extra movement due to always being transformed. The good thing is Embla is fast, so she won't be the one being targeted by stall, but you will still need to be careful of how you position your slowest unit. When it comes to Beast Agility 3, this skill is really an amazing sign of what is to come. Hopefully it means more Beast exclusive skills are on their way. Now before I go over this, I will warn you not to sacrifice Embla. She is going to be a hero you want, but if for some reason you decide to, this skill is going to be really good on fast offensive beasts such as Lyre, New Year's Lethe, and Selkie, both Tiburns as it can help against follow-up denial, and possibly even Raisin and Leanne. Now hear me out. You would be giving up Wings of Mercy, but you get a permanent 3 movement flying dancer, which is really big. We do need to wait to see who can inherit the skill, but I would assume flyers and calves at the very least. Now heroes who do not want the skill are armors and possibly infantry units. When it comes to armors, they don't want to give up their fighter skills ever. It's just going to put in way more work than anything else. When it comes to infantry, it's more of a trade-off. Having transformation all the time is really good, but infantry can have full access to no follow-up already through their B skill or their seal slot, so it's not quite as good. The other thing is you might just want to run other B skills, so it will be something you really need to consider before inheriting. There's also the option we get other transformation skills coming in the future that might be better on them. Now with both of our meta menaces out of the way, let's talk about the rest of the banner and if you should pull. Now the red pool is extremely stacked. You have 3 of the most powerful meta heroes all sharing color. Legendary Nana is an amazing hero who pumps out a ton of damage and can even get past damage reduction and defensive specials, which have become more and more prominent lately. I think blue is the second best color. We have Legendary Sheeta and Deirdre and Saros. If you're looking to start building a water and earth core for arena, this is a good option. Sheeta is a great hero who is very unique, and Deirdre is a ridiculously powerful hero, who is completely slept on at the moment. She is honestly horrifying, especially in Summoner Duels. The major downside for blue is Saros. She really isn't a great option for Aether Raid's defense, and even if you do want 1 copy, you really don't want more than that. After that we have Colorless. Colorless has some good heroes, but honestly not the best bang for your buck. Greymon is still a good defense mythic, especially on a catcher ball, but with Embla and Medius out, you typically only want to run him on his bonus season at most, and you definitely don't want too many copies of him. Legendary Makai is a good legendary and can be a decent option for Arena. And then lastly, we have Ascended Celica, who is a very powerful and annoying to deal with hero. She is very strong on both ARD and in summoner duels, and she can also offer that Floret. It's a decent pool, but not what you want to be spending a lot of your orbs on. Lastly, we have the green pool. The green pool is just not great. Ymir is by far the best hero we have here. She's a great hero in summoner duels. She can make it really difficult to bust through your team and even offers recovery, which is big. Then we have Dagger, who is a good light mythic, but not amazing. She's not the mythic I would be merging up, when you consider heroes like Peony, Asker, or Ashe. And this is coming from someone who has her at plus 10. Lastly, we have Hel, who is just terrible, and you really never want to run her ever if possible. So the question is, should you pull? My best recommendation is to wait. We have new Heroes banner coming out on December 7th, and a new book being revealed on the 5th. We have no idea what could be on this banner, or what new possible game mode or gimmicks might be added to the game. The best thing you can do is wait and make an informed decision. Once you know exactly what we are dealing with, you can decide to summon or not. Now, if you have Bay Pass or are a whale like me, the red pool is phenomenal. One of the best red pools we have ever had. So after seeing the new banner, I would recommend going in at least to the Spark and picking up Embla and possibly Veronica. Both of these units are going to show up in the meta one way or another. It might take one rerun for them to be really available enough to massively affect the meta, but it will happen. Hopefully this video helped everyone out with their decision to pull or not and gave you a good idea of Veronica and Embla's role in the meta. If you haven't yet, go watch my Intelligent System's favorite and most hated game in the top left. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch y'all later.